If I would have known back in time that that particular moment was a clear indicator, a sign if you will, of how this entire sewing project is gonna go, I would have seriously just stopped, taken a moment. I would have chosen a completely different project off of my to-do list and went with that. All right, I have bad news and then I have super bad news. Well, I guess there's some good news too. Of course, I had to persist. I had to push through. And this whole sewing story is really just a very bad case of coulda, woulda, shoulda. But you know what? We learn and we live and we take those experiences with us as a very valuable life lesson. And that's how we grow. In case you were wondering, that was an actual footage of me tripping over a studio light. Dear sewing friends, today's sewing journey is titled, Did I Make a Mess or Did I Make a Jacket? And I guess we'll just have to wait and see. The whole purpose, the whole goal of today's project was to create a piece of outerwear, something that I would wear early spring, late spring, summer, and maybe early fall, because those are the pieces that I really lack in my capsule wardrobe, so I wanted to fill it in with something unique, something that would also go really well with a white t-shirt or a white button-down shirt, or maybe something different. And I had a couple of fabrics picked out and I thought maybe I will go for like a grandpa cardigan. But then I was like, wait a second, I would like something that would zip up. So maybe I would go for like a sports jacket with a high neck and maybe like a bishop sleeve for that element of design. And nothing really felt right. Okay, one thing that I do know for sure, I better not say that because it might be a subject to change, but for right now, I really want to use this beautiful fabric. Look at this print. Isn't that just beautiful and reminds you of spring, and it's juicy and it's colorful? I would absolutely love to use it today. I actually really enjoy looking at really well-made ready-to-wear pieces and just kind of looking beyond the seams and looking behind some of the secrets that they have used, the way they have made things, and just really working my way backwards and recreating those things with my own personal twist on it. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Let me know in the comments below, but I actually quite enjoy that. Oh, that's interesting. All right, my dear sewing friends, are you ready for a plot twist? So I might actually copy the pattern of this jacket that is actually made out of, now that I'm touching it, exactly the same material as this one. So it's like neoprene, scuba, active wear, performance wear, sort of. I need to say that this particular jacket has been with me for over 10 years. I actually bought it back in Europe before moving to the United States. And this jacket has survived my first job in Vegas, so that really says a lot. So my first job in Vegas was as an assistant beverage manager on a casino floor at New York, and it was a graveyard shift. So I worked from, if I remember correctly, from like 10 p.m. till 8 a.m. And through that time frame, I mean, you could see and you could experience a lot. So this was great because at the end of my shift, I could just take it, throw it in a wash. I don't have to worry about dry cleaning. I don't have to make time in my schedule for it. And then once I'm ready to go to work, this is ready for me to wear again. And I should probably also mention that there was a lot of smoking on a casino floor, and the casino was big, and my whole shift was pretty much working on the casino floor except for some admin stuff. So washing my hair every day, washing my clothes every day. You know how textiles are. They love to absorb all of the smells, so that was definitely a thing. So the final sketch of what we're going for is gonna look like this. So this is a jacket. It's not too fitted, but it's also not baggy. So it's a nice jacket with a little bit of ease, but not too much of it. It's gonna have 3/4 sleeve. It's gonna have a zipper, no bust dart, but I'm gonna go ahead and move that bust dart into the neckline and create two really beautiful darts at the neckline on each side. We're also gonna have a little collar, and it should be a pretty quick job. Or so I thought. To get started, out comes my big binder, and I'm gonna go ahead and use a bodice block with darts. So I'm not gonna use any waist darts because we're not gonna have those, but I will, however, move the bust dart. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually gonna go ahead and open the bust dart a little bit into the armhole, so that way that will be a little bit of an extra ease in that area since this is a jacket. The rest of it I'm gonna go ahead and swing towards the neckline, and I'm gonna separate separate that into smaller darts that you saw on the original sketch. I'm gonna divide shoulder in half, and then I'm gonna take a straight line down, and I'm gonna separate the pattern pieces, inserting about half an inch of ease in that area. And I'm gonna do exactly the same thing on the back pattern piece as well, because obviously they have to match. And as a final thing for my pattern pieces for the bodice, I'm also gonna go ahead and raise the shoulder seam just by about 1/4 of an inch up, again because this is a jacket, and I would like to have a little bit more ease in my armholes. After I moved all of the things around and all of the darts and added ease, the pattern piece for the front looked like this. I know it looks like a really bad case of Frankensteining the pattern block, but believe me when I say that I actually understand everything that's on there. It just doesn't look camera ready. A lot of times in the comments underneath my videos, I get asked, but how do you know if it's going to fit after you made all of these adjustments? And the answer always seems very straightforward. That's probably one of the reasons I don't always mention that in my videos. But you make a test garment, and I don't make a test garment as a wearable muslin, which I know is a very popular thing in a sewing society. I just take calico or muslin or any other fabric really that I have on hand for whatever reason, but I know that this fabric is never going to be used for anything else, and I'd rather use it for a pattern test, or otherwise it has no purpose. That fabric needs to be of the same way that the original pattern is intended, or at least you need to understand how it's going to look like with the test garment, so that way you can translate that image onto your final project. And here you see me do exactly that. I take the pattern pieces, I place them right on top of my muslin, and I actually outline them with a marker, so that way I can clearly see where the pattern lines, and in case if I'm, let's say, letting out the side seam or doing something else, I can clearly see how is that going to look like on my final garment. And I mark everything. I mark the darts, I mark the side seams, the shoulder seams, the armholes. Everything that needs to be done is marked already on my muslin. And then I take a hand sewing needle and thread, and I just baste it very quickly together. Now here's the one thing that I do not suggest to do. Usually when I am pretty sure of what I'm doing, I just need to double check just to have a peace of mind before I cut into my fabric. I only make half of the front and half of the back, which actually doesn't really give you the full picture of how it's going to look like, because obviously you don't have the other half. So if you're not necessarily sure of what you're doing, or maybe you're not sure of how the bodice block fits you, or this is your first time doing the alterations, I would actually do the full set. I would do the full front, the full back, so that way it rests on your shoulders comfortably and you can assess the fit and make necessary adjustments going from there. So I was just comparing the darts, not necessarily how deep they are or how big they are, but which way they're looking, and one of them was looking a little bit more, anyway, the direction wasn't the one that I wanted to go for, so I went ahead and I redrew it, and now I'm gonna go ahead and baste it together again, so that way I can see how truly it's going to look like. All right, it's time to do the sleeve. For the sleeve, I took the basic sleeve block that I already had for my bodice block, and I did some measuring and adjusting it to make sure that it fits perfectly to this jacket. And by the way, the video tutorials for all of these, for the sleeve block and the basic bodice block, will be linked in the info box below, so that way if you want to check them out, they're right there. All right, it's done, and I'm gonna go ahead and try it on right together with you. Let's take a look. Have to make sure that I center the back, so that way I know what's going on. All right, I think we're getting there. I would like to take in a little bit right over here, just to make it a little bit more form-fitting around the waist, just a tiny bit at the side seam. I do like the length of the sleeve, just like on the original jacket. This positioning here is pretty good. I think I'm almost ready to cut my fabric. All right, I honestly can't believe that I'm actually done with all these pieces. So although I did simplify the jacket quite a bit, there were still quite a few pieces to work out. So I have the back. I had to adjust the sleeve a little bit, so I didn't do a new pattern. I just Frankensteined it a little bit. I just had to add just a tiny bit right over here at the cap. So that was done. Then of course I had to create the facing, and I had to close the darts on the facing so that way we can skip that part. And so yeah, so I had to do that. So here's the facing for the front, and here's the front piece. Oh, wait a second. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where did it go? Uh-oh. Did I throw it out? It's not funny. Oh my goodness, I thought I threw it out. All right, and I also had to create a collar. So this is the collar piece as well. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces, and I'm thinking about a pocket. I'm not sure yet. I think I'm gonna go take a shower, and I might think about a pocket in the shower because it is, I don't know where my phone is at, it is close to midnight. So I think I had just about 1 yard of fabric. I don't know exactly how much because I didn't measure to start with, but I think just about 1 yard. So I really had to do some serious puzzling or serious Tetris with the pattern pieces to make sure that everything actually fits and that I can actually make a jacket. All right, I have bad news and then I have super bad news. Well, I guess there's some good news too. The good news is I did fit everything in. It is tight, very tight, but I did make it happen. Bad news number 1 is that I couldn't cut facing as one continuous piece because there just wasn't enough fabric. Therefore, I had to separate it, and I'm just gonna have a seam, but that's going to be on the inside. I just need to make sure that I avoid the bulk, and I think that's going to be all right. Bad news number 2, there's literally no fabric left for any pockets. So there's not going to be any pockets. At this point, I was kind of between 2 decisions, 2 forks in the road, right? From one point, I just really wanted to get that done. Yes, it was late. Yes, I was super tired and exhausted, but the sewing part was actually supposed to be the easiest part. So I thought, let me just get this done and maybe I'll get in bed like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I don't have to worry about this thing in the morning. However, from the other point, I had this really haunting feeling that I did cut something out wrong. We'll get into that in just about a moment. And my brain I was just really tired. I could see that my eyes were irritated. And you know the thing, to never sew when you're super tired or you're in a rush, because a lot of times nothing good happens out of it, and I should really follow my own advice. But I was just like, oh, what should I do? So I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna turn off the lights, go to sleep, and wake up extra early to get this thing done. Now, okay, if you're watching this video and throughout this video you're thinking, you know what, I'm not really 100% confident to tackle a project like this, and I'm here to tell you that you just need a little bit of guidance, and I really would love for you to check out Skillshare. Now, Skillshare is today's sponsor. Thank you so much for making this video possible. I truly appreciate that. And if you, my dear sewing friends, are not familiar what Skillshare is all about, or what is Skillshare, it is an online learning platform for creative people like you and I, and it has thousands of classes on a variety of topics, but we're talking about sewing, so I found you a really great class by Denise Byron. And if you're just at the beginning of your sewing journey, or maybe you're coming back to it, or even if you're kind of like in the middle and you want to gain a little bit more knowledge, this class is really great. She goes over supplies, she goes over sewing different types of seams, different types of curves, and it's all structured really well. No ads, so you can really kind of be in the zone and follow along. There are PDF downloadable materials to go with the course together, so I think you're definitely going to love it. You're definitely going to gain some new knowledge, some new confidence, and I really would love for you to check it out. For 1,000 first subscribers, to click on the link in the info box below, you'll get 1 month free of Skillshare membership. So if you want to check it out and you're like, oh, you know what, this actually sounds great, then definitely use the link in the info box below. Just for context, this is everything I have left from cutting the pattern pieces out. So there really isn't a lot of fabric left. The pattern pieces really took all of it, and I did squeeze them in just enough to be able to get this jacket done. So there isn't much left at all. And you know how I shared with you that I had that haunting feeling, that sixth sense that something went wrong when I was cutting it. And of course it did. Not a big piece, thankfully, but the piece for the neckline, the one that would be on the inside, instead of cutting it mirrored, I cut two of exactly the same pieces. So I had to find another piece of fabric to cut another piece out of it. Luckily, I had an itty bitty tiny one that I could fit in this on the correct grain, so that way I know nothing would twist once everything is sewn. So that was definitely a moment of relief. The sewing part itself is pretty straightforward. I just looked at the jacket that I already had. Besides, the pattern pieces were really straightforward, right? We have the back on the fold, we have two front pattern pieces, a sleeve that is just one pattern piece, and of course the collar as well. There is a facing because of course I had to add a zipper. That's where I came to a full stop because I was, wait a second, I have to shorten the metal zipper, that I haven't done that in a while. So I had to look up a YouTube video from I will leave that link for you guys in the info box below if you're interested. And I don't know how she did separate the stopper from the zipper so easily. For the life of me, I could not do it. So I actually went to ask my husband to help me out with that because I just couldn't get that stopper off to reposition it back on the zipper. So luckily he was home, he helped me out, bang. That's it, we're moving forward. What's interesting about neoprene is that it actually stretches, not a ton, but it does stretch because it is knit. But as I was looking at the jacket that I already had, it was serged on the edges. Some of the seams were serged as sewn together, but some of them were also sewn just with a straight stitch in order to be able to press those seam allowances open, because neoprene, if you actually look, it's not super thick, but it has thickness to it, definitely a lot more than just a regular cotton, for example. So you definitely want to avoid a ton of bulk and you want to press your seams open whenever it's possible. So first I literally pretty much serged all of the pieces all the way around, and then I started the assembly, which actually went pretty straightforward, pretty quick, except for the collar part. Here's an extra tip. When I serge and I don't have exactly the thread that I need, I actually pick the colors that are in the print of the fabric itself, and then I do an assortment of different colors that would complement the fabric, so that way I don't have to buy 4 spools of the exact color match, but I can actually use what I already have on hand. The color pieces I had to redo, I would say probably 3 times, maybe more, because I really wanted that shape to be identical, so that way I know for sure that one isn't like super curved, the other one is not curved enough. You know how it goes. And a quick note that we will get more into the construction of this jacket with the members of the channel, so if you are a member of the channel, definitely be on a lookout for members extra, probably closer to Sunday. That's where I'm going to release the video on more details on how to assemble something like this. And just to add to it, as if I haven't tortured myself enough with this jacket, I also decided to do all of the hems on the entire jacket and the sleeves by hand, and that of course took a little bit of time as well. All right, enough talking, let's put this on. I gotta tell you that after everything that I went through with this jacket, I actually really love it. I love the way it looks with this white shirt. I think it's going to look great with just a simple white t-shirt and maybe a scarf. So many possibilities, and this jacket really is that versatile piece that you can dress it up, dress it down, and you don't have to make it in a floral print. You can make it a solid color or maybe stripes or polka dots, whatever your heart desires. So thank you so much for watching. I truly hope that you enjoyed the sewing journey. I truly hope that you enjoyed a little bit of behind the scenes, and until next time, happy, thoughtful, and creative sewing. I'll see you soon. Bye!